Hello again. I'm sure that, like me, viewers are aware that whenever anybody starts talking about resources, funding, damages, compensation, or reparation, what they really mean is money. We all want it, of course, but the English traditionally find the topic a little vulgar, which is why they've come up with so many euphemisms when they're asking for it. In the United States, there is talk of every black person becoming a millionaire if only the right legislation could be rammed through. Eyes are on California, which is leading the field at the moment. I don't know. Time was when 40 acres and a mule would have been sufficient to satisfy those folk. But there we are. I suppose things change. Some islands in the Caribbean are also scenting a chance for some cash. And there's talk in Barbados and Jamaica of trying to put the bite on the British government for a huge amount of money. This has caused a certain amount of unease among black activists in this country who do not wish to miss the boat if free money is being dished out. They are alarmed at the thought of all that cash being handed over to the government of Jamaica, say, perhaps divining correctly that if that happened, then the Jamaicans would keep it all for those actually living in Jamaica. Why shouldn't the so-called Windrush generation living in Britain be in the running for some reparations of their own, just as the African Americans are currently clamouring for? You can usually rely upon the BBC to support a poor cause, always provided that black people are involved, and this one is no exception to the general rule. A couple of days ago, they published online a service held in Southwark Cathedral to mark the 75th anniversary of the arrival of the Empire Windrush, and a minister called Arlington Trotman talked of the hardships faced by immigrants from the Caribbean in the 1950s and how some of them are in need of money. At 12 minutes and 40 seconds into the thing, we hear the fateful words, "We call today upon the government to meet the compensation needs." He goes on to talk of repairing the damage which has been done, the exclusion from churches. This is a bid for money from the Church of England, of course, which has already promised to hand over some large sums to black people for past injustice. I give a link to this service in the description to this video. I was fascinated to listen to it because I'd come across Arlington Trotman a while ago in another capacity, that of professional race grifter. I give a link to the website for A.W. Trotman Associates, run by the same fellow. This outfit enables organisations to create and sustain corporate culture which values human diversity and supports and develops employees' compliance with those values across work environments. Money to be made in that game, I can tell you. Curiously enough, there's no mention anywhere that the fellow running it is a minister of religion, but perhaps he feels that might put off some potential customers. By that reflection in his broadcast on the BBC, the Reverend Trotman has really fired the starting gun on a race to secure money for the Windrush generation, both from the British government and the Anglican Church. The sums being kicked around are enormous. The Church of England has set aside £100 million for this purpose, but that's nothing compared to the amount that might be screwed out of the British government if they can be got to play ball. Already some claims backed by the threat of legal action are in the process of being prepared, and there's a mood of optimism for what might be achieved with the right tactics. A tribe of lawyers, community groups, journalists and various activists are preparing to launch a big campaign about this, and the kind of money being talked about will dwarf the amount currently being spent on keeping asylum seekers in hotels.